The night shift on Earth's Deep Space Listening Post 7 was usually quiet. Nothing but the soft hum of computers and the occasional beep of routine system checks. But tonight was different. Officer Jake Collins nearly spilled his coffee when the alert sounded. The computer had picked up something unusual, a signal from deep space that didn't match any known pattern. "Control, this is DSLP-7, he said into his comm. "We're receiving a signal from Sector 219. It's strange. You need to hear this." Jake played the recording. A series of musical tones filled the room, rising and falling in a pattern that seemed almost like a song, but with an urgency that made the hair on his arms stand up. "Send it to headquarters right away," came the reply. "And notify the USS Horizon. They're the closest ship to that sector." Captain Olivia Dalton woke to the sound of her personal alarm. She checked the time, 3:14 a.m. ship time, and knew immediately this wasn't a routine call. "Dalton here," she answered, her voice still rough with sleep. "Captain, this is Commander Wright. Sorry to wake you, but we've received a priority message from Earth. They've detected an unusual signal from deep space. They think it might be, well, not from us." 5 minutes later, Captain Dalton stepped onto the bridge of the USS Horizon, her uniform hastily donned but her mind fully alert. "Play it again," she ordered, and the strange melody filled the bridge. The crew stood silent, listening to what might be the first confirmed contact from an alien civilization. "It repeats exactly the same way every 93 seconds, said Lieutenant Ben Howard from the communication station. "It's been broadcasting nonstop for at least 12 hours, which is when DSLP-7 first picked it up." "What do you think, Lieutenant?" Dalton asked, turning to Kate Murphy, the ship's language expert. Lieutenant Murphy frowned in concentration. "The patterns are too regular to be natural space noise, and there's a mathematical structure to it that suggests intelligence, but it's nothing like any human language or code." "Can you decode it?" Murphy hesitated. "I can try, Captain, but without any reference point it could take weeks or months." Captain Dalton nodded. "You have 3 days. I want to know what that signal is saying." For the next 72 hours, Lieutenant Murphy barely left her station. She worked with the ship's computer to analyze every aspect of the alien signal, its frequency patterns, mathematical relationships, energy spikes. She tried every decoding method known to Earth science, and when those failed, she invented new ones. The rest of the crew felt the tension build as Murphy's deadline approached. Everyone knew this could be the moment humanity had been waiting, for proof they weren't alone in the universe. On the third day, just as Captain Dalton was checking in for an update, Murphy's eyes went wide. She jumped from her seat, hand pressed to her mouth. "Captain, I've got it," she shouted, her exhaustion forgotten. "The signal, it's using prime numbers as a foundation, but with a geometric progression that—" "Lieutenant," Dalton interrupted, gently. "In simple terms, please." Murphy took a deep breath. "It's a distress call, Captain. They're in trouble, big trouble. Their ships can't move and they're being pulled toward a neutron star." The bridge fell silent. This wasn't just first contact. It was a rescue mission. "How many?" Dalton asked. Quietly, "From what I can tell, it's a fleet of ships, 23 vessels of different sizes. The signal mentions numbers that would translate to roughly 40,000 lives." Captain Dalton turned to Lieutenant Eric Lawson at navigation. "Can we pinpoint the source?" Lawson nodded. "The signal is coming from Sector 219, about 3.7 light-years away. At maximum warp, we could reach them in 6 days. And how long until they hit that neutron star?" Lawson's face grew serious. "Based on their message and the star's known gravitational pull, 8 days, Captain." A heavy silence filled the bridge. 8 days until 40,000 unknown beings would be crushed by one of the deadliest forces in the universe. 6 days to reach them. That left just 2 days to somehow save an entire alien fleet. "Send a message to Fleet Command," Dalton ordered. "Tell them we're responding to an extraterrestrial distress call. Request any ships in range to meet us at these coordinates." Commander Wright stepped closer. "Captain, I should point out that we have no authorization for first contact protocols. And we know nothing about these aliens. They could be hostile." "Noted, Commander," Dalton said. "But that signal isn't a trick or a trap. It's a cry for help. And we're going to answer it. She stood and faced her crew. Their expressions showed a mix of fear, excitement, and determination. I know what you're all thinking, she said. We don't know who sent this message. We don't know what they look like or if they would do the same for us. But right now, none of that matters. There are 40,000 beings about to die and we have a chance to save them. That's not just our mission, it's who we are as humans. Dalton pressed the ship-wide communication button. All hands, this is the captain speaking. We have received a distress signal from what appears to be an alien fleet in danger. We are setting course to render aid. This is not a drill. All departments prepare for rescue operations. We have 8 days to save 40,000 lives. Let's make them count. Throughout the massive starship, crew members stopped what they were doing, absorbing the captain's words. Humanity's first confirmed contact with alien life, and it was a desperate call for help. In engineering, Chief Engineer Sam Miller immediately began checking the warp engines. Johnson, Chen, I want those engines pushing 110% when we go to warp. We need every second we can get. In medical, Dr. Abigail West called her team together. We have no idea what kind of beings we're going to encounter, she told them. Different biology, different atmospheres, maybe completely different chemical compositions. I want every possibility prepared for. In the ship's labs, scientists who had spent careers searching for signs of alien life now rushed to prepare for actual contact. Captain Dalton returned to her command chair and gave the order that would make history. Helm, set course for the source of the distress signal. Maximum warp. The massive engines of the USS Horizon roared to life, pushing the ship faster than light itself. As stars streaked past on the view screen, Dalton thought about the unknown, beings who had sent the call. Would humanity arrive as saviors or find only debris? Would these aliens become allies or enemies? Only one thing was certain. When someone called for help, humans answered, even if that call came from the stars. 6 days of tense travel through space ended when the USS Horizon dropped out of warp speed. What the crew saw on the main screen left them speechless. My God, whispered Commander Wright. A fleet of alien ships filled the view. 23 vessels of different sizes floating helplessly in space. Unlike human ships with their hard angles and metal hulls, these looked almost alive. Their surfaces glowed with soft blue and green lights, and their shapes reminded Captain Dalton of sea creatures from Earth's oceans. In the distance, a tiny but bright point of light marked the neutron star that threatened to pull them all to their doom. Life signs? Captain Dalton asked, still staring at the strange ships. Lieutenant Ryan Phillips checked his screens. Confirmed, Captain. I count about 42,000 living beings. Their life readings are strange, not like anything we've seen before. They seem to be part carbon, part silicon-based life forms. They're calling us, Lieutenant Murphy announced from the communication station. They're sending a message. Captain Dalton straightened her uniform. This would be humanity's first face-to-face meeting with aliens. History was about to be made. On screen, she ordered. The image shifted and the bridge crew got their first look at the aliens they had come to save. No one had known what to expect, but the sight still surprised them. The aliens looked like a mix between mantises and jellyfish. Their bodies were partly see-through and glowed with changing colors. Each one had 6 jointed arms and clusters of shining, many-sided eyes. The alien in the center of the group was glowing a soft blue. I am Elder Vereen of the Valari Exodus Fleet, the alien said in a musical voice. The ship's computer translated the words, but couldn't fully capture the beautiful sounds beneath them. You have answered our call when we had lost all hope. For this, we thank you. Captain Dalton stepped forward. I'm Captain Olivia Dalton of the United Earthship Horizon. We heard your call for help and came as fast as we could. We're here to help you. The alien's body changed color, shifting from blue to a deep purple. Our main engines failed after we passed through an unknown energy field. We have enough air and food to last another month, but we cannot change our path. In 3 of your Earth days, our ships will be pulled into the star and none of us will survive. We've studied your situation, said Commander Wright. We think we can tow your smaller ships with our warp field. But for the bigger ships, we'll need to help fix your engines directly. The Valeri Elder's color changed again, this time to yellow. Our ships are partly alive. They are connected to us. Your people may find them difficult to work with. Dr. West stepped forward. With your permission, I'd like to send a medical team to learn about your bodies and how your ships work. The more we understand, the better we can help. You may do this, Elder Vereen agreed, changing to an orange-pink color. But I must warn you, some of my people fear outsiders. We have old stories about other aliens who offered help only to make us their slaves. Some may not want your help. We understand. Captain Dalton nodded. But I give you my word. We came only to help you. Once your ships are safe, you can continue your journey. We ask nothing in return. The Elder's body flashed bright white for a moment. In my 200 years of life, I have never seen such kindness from strangers. Why would your people risk so much for those you do not know? Captain Dalton smiled. Because that's what humans do at our best. We answer calls for help, not because we expect anything back, but because we believe every thinking being has value. She paused. We have a saying, there but for the grace of God go I. Today you're in danger. Tomorrow it could be us. The Valeri Elder bowed slightly. Then let us hope that if that day comes, the Valeri will answer your call as you have answered ours. The communication ended, and the bridge crew looked to their captain. Let's get to work, she said simply. We have 42,000 lives to save, and less than 3 days to do it. 2 hours later, Chief Engineer Sam Miller led the first team of humans onto the largest Valeri ship. He had never seen anything like it. The walls seemed to pulse with life. Lights moved through tubes that looked more like veins than wires. The air smelled sweet and strange. It's like we're inside a living thing, he told his team. Be careful what you touch. We don't understand how any of this works yet. A group of Valeri met them. Up close, the aliens were both beautiful and strange. Their transparent bodies showed inner organs that glowed with different colors. When they moved, they seemed to float rather than walk. One Valeri stepped forward, its body glowing green. I am Treen, Chief Engineer of the Mothership. We welcome your help, humans. Sam nodded. Thank you. Can you show us to your main engine room? We call it the heart chamber, Treen said. Follow me. As they walked through the ship, Sam noticed that some Valeri they passed changed to a dark red color and moved away quickly. Others glowed with curious yellows and interested blues. Not everyone is happy we're here, Sam said quietly to his team. Remember, we're guests. Be respectful. The heart chamber was enormous, a vast round room filled with crystal-like structures that pulsed with dim light. In the center was what looked like a giant heart, but it barely glowed. This is our main power core, Treen explained. When healthy, it glows bright white, but since we hit the energy field, it has been dying. Sam studied the strange technology. It was nothing like the engines he knew. This was part machine, part biology, and maybe even part magic as far as he could tell. This is going to be tough, he said finally, but we'll figure it out. Can you explain how it's supposed to work? For the next several hours, the human engineers tried to understand the Valeri technology. It was frustrating work. The alien engineers described systems in ways that made little sense to human minds. It's like they're talking about emotions instead of engineering, complained one of Sam's team. Sam had a sudden thought. Maybe they are. Lieutenant Murphy said they communicate partially through colors and feelings. Maybe their ships do too. He turned to Treen. Your ships, they respond to how you feel, don't they? The Valeri engineer glowed a surprised yellow. Of course. All ships respond to their crews. Do yours not? Sam laughed. Not like this. But I think I'm starting to understand. He touched the wall nearest him, feeling its warm, living surface. Your ship isn't just sick, it's scared. Treen's color deepened. Yes, the heart feels our fear. And yours. Back on the horizon, Captain Dalton received Sam's report with growing concern. So the ships are reacting badly to our presence? That's going to make this rescue much harder. Not just our presence, Sam explained through the comm. Our emotions. The Valari and their ship sense feelings, and right now, with the time pressure and the technical challenges, all of us, Valari and human, are projecting fear and worry. Lieutenant Murphy, who had been studying Valari culture, nodded excitedly. That makes sense, Captain. They're empaths. They feel emotional states. Their entire technology might be based on emotional resonance. Captain Dalton considered this. So our rescue teams, focused on the technical problems and feeling the pressure of time, are actually making things worse, Commander Wright finished. The ships are picking up our anxiety and shutting down even more. Captain Dalton made a decision. I need to speak to all the Valari. Right now. Minutes later, Captain Dalton's face appeared on surfaces throughout the alien fleet. Her voice reached every Valari on every ship. People of the Valari Exodus fleet. She began calmly. This is Captain Olivia Dalton of Earth. I understand many of you are afraid. Of us. Of what's happening to your ships. Of the danger ahead. That fear is natural, but I want to tell you something about humans. She paused, choosing her words carefully. Throughout our history, we have faced many disasters. We have looked death in the face many times, and what we've learned is this. In our darkest moments, when fear threatens to take over, we find our greatest strength not in our machines or weapons, but in each other, in helping each other, in refusing to give up. As she spoke, the lighting on the Valari ships began to change, shifting from alarming reds to calmer blues. Right now, my engineers, my doctors, my entire crew is working with your people with one goal, to save every life in this fleet. Not because we want anything from you, but because this is what we believe. No thinking being should be left to die if help is possible. Captain Dalton leaned forward, her voice soft but strong. I'm asking you to trust us for these few important hours. Feel what we feel, not fear, but determination. Not panic, but purpose. Together, we will save your fleet. When she finished, a moment of silence followed. Then across all 23 Valari ships, the vessels began to glow with a steady, united blue light. The ship is fighting me, shouted Chief Engineer Sam Miller. He was inside the largest Valari vessel, surrounded by strange glowing tubes and crystal-like structures. His environmental suit was covered in a bright blue liquid that seemed to move on its own. Around him, the walls of the alien ship pulsed with an angry red light. What's happening, Sam? Captain Dalton's voice came through his communicator. It's not just a machine problem, Captain, Sam replied, wiping some of the blue fluid from his helmet. These ships are almost alive. They feel what the Valari feel. When the aliens get scared, the ships get scared too. In the engine room, called the heart chamber by the Valari, human engineers worked alongside the aliens to fix the damaged systems. But every time they made progress, the ship would react badly to their unfamiliar touch. Back on the horizon, Captain Dalton turned to Elder Vereen, who had come aboard to help coordinate the rescue. Is this true? She asked. Do your ships react to emotions? The Elder's body changed color several times before settling on a deep blue. Yes. Our vessels are partly grown, not just built. They share a special connection with us. Your engineer is right. Fear spreads through the living parts of our ships. Lieutenant Murphy, who had been studying the Valari language and culture, stepped forward. Captain, I've been reading their information database. The Valari talk as much with colors and light patterns as they do with words. They're empaths. They can feel what others feel. Dalton nodded slowly as she understood. So our rescue teams, focused on fixing the technical problems and feeling the pressure of limited time, are making the ships nervous because they sense our worry and urgency, Murphy finished. Elder Vereen, Captain Dalton said, I'd like to speak to all your people directly, everyone on all ships. The request was unusual, but the Elder agreed. Soon, Captain Dalton's face appeared on surfaces throughout the Valari fleet, and her voice reached every alien ear. People of the Valari Exodus fleet, she began, speaking slowly and clearly. This is Captain Olivia Dalton of Earth. I understand. Many of you are afraid Of us, of what's happening to your ships, of the danger that still waits ahead. That fear is natural. But I want to tell you something about humans. She paused, thinking carefully about her next words. Throughout our history, we have faced many disasters and dangers. We have looked death in the face more than once. What we've learned is this. In our darkest times, when fear tries to take over, we find our greatest strength not in our machines or weapons, but in connections, in helping each other, in refusing to give up. As she spoke, Lieutenant Murphy noticed the lighting on the Volari ships beginning to change. The alarming reds were slowly shifting to calmer blues and purples. Right now, my engineers, my medical teams, my entire crew is working with your people with one goal: to save every life in this fleet. Not because we want anything from you, not because we want to control you, but because this is what we believe. No thinking being should be left to die if help is possible. Captain Dalton leaned forward, her voice growing softer yet somehow stronger. I'm asking you to trust us for these few important hours. Feel what we feel. Not fear, but determination. Not panic, but purpose. Together, we will save your fleet. When she finished speaking, there was a moment of silence. Then across all 23 Volari ships, the vessels began to glow with a unified, steady blue light. Elder Varine's body pulsed with a color the humans had never seen before. A deep, beautiful indigo with sparkles of gold. Captain, the Elder, said, you have just done what our people call the light unity, a joining of emotional purpose. It is something only our most respected leaders have achieved among our own kind. That you, an alien, could guide our collective feelings. The Elder's voice trailed off in wonder. In the heart chamber of the main ship, Chief Miller called in excitedly, Captain, the ship is helping us now. The biological systems are stabilizing themselves. Over the next 14 hours, humans and Volari worked side by side with new energy and purpose. The Volari bioengineers taught the humans how to communicate with the living parts of their ships, while human engineers found clever ways to connect Earth technology with the alien biological systems. Dr. West made an amazing discovery. Human music, especially classical pieces by Bach and Mozart, created patterns that calmed the Volari ship's biological systems. Soon, the beautiful sounds of Earth's greatest composers played throughout the alien vessels, creating a strange but effective bridge between the two species. The music helps the ships feel our harmony, explained a Volari engineer named Loon. They respond to beauty and peace. With just 10 hours left before the point of no return, tensions were high again. 3 of the smaller Volari ships had been successfully connected to the horizon with special energy fields, ready to be towed to safety. But the largest ship, the one carrying nearly 15,000 Volari, was still struggling. The heart won't restart, Sam reported to Captain Dalton. We've tried everything. It's like it's given up. In the heart chamber, Volari engineers floated with their heads bowed, their bodies glowing dim blue with sadness. The giant crystal heart in the center of the chamber barely flickered with light. Sam looked at the alien heart, then at his human team, then at the Volari engineers. A crazy idea formed in his mind. Captain, he said into his comm, I need every human on this ship to come to the heart chamber, and I need everyone to bring whatever musical instruments they have. Musical instruments? Captain Dalton asked, confused. Trust me. And we need Elder Varine too. 30 minutes later, a strange gathering filled the heart chamber. 23 humans and 40 Volari stood in a circle around the dying heart. The humans had brought guitars, flutes, a violin, even simple drums. One engineer had only a metal pipe that he could tap rhythmically. What is your plan, Human Sam? Asked Elder Varine. Your ships respond to emotions and harmonies, Sam explained. Dr. West discovered they react well to our music. I think the heart needs more than technical repairs. It needs hope. It needs to feel our combined will to live. He turned to his fellow humans. Everyone remember the old song, Amazing Grace? It's simple, and it's about hope and salvation. Let's start with that. As the humans began to play and sing the ancient melody, the Volari watched in confusion. Then Elder Varine's body began to pulse with light in rhythm with the music. Other Valari joined, adding their own harmonies of light and sound. The chamber, filled with music and glowing patterns, human voices and instruments blended with the Valari's own strange, beautiful tones. The walls of the chamber began to pulse with the same rhythm. In the center, the great crystal heart flickered, then glowed a little brighter, then brighter still. Dr. West, watching from the medical station, saw the readings spike. The biological systems are responding. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. For 2 hours, humans and Valari created music, together, pouring their hope and determination into sound and light. The heart grew steadily brighter until suddenly it flashed with brilliant white light that filled the entire chamber. The ship hummed with renewed energy. Systems came back. Online, engines that had been dead for weeks began to power up. Throughout the fleet, the same pattern repeated as the other ships sensed the revival of the mother ship. One by one, engines came back online, propulsion systems activated. With just 6 hours to spare, the first Valari ship fired its engines, changing course away from the deadly pull of the neutron star. The others followed, their graceful forms glowing with renewed life and purpose. On the bridge of the horizon, Captain Dalton watched the Valari fleet moving to safety, guided by humanity's helping hand. Elder Vereen stood beside her, the aliens, bodies shimmering with joy. "Your people did not just save our bodies," the elder said softly. "You saved our spirit. You taught us to hope again." Dalton smiled. "Sometimes that's what we all need the most. Someone to remind us that even in the darkest moment, there's still hope." 3 weeks after the rescue, the Valari fleet orbited a beautiful blue-green planet. Lieutenant Ryan Phillips had discovered this perfect world while scanning nearby systems. The planet had exactly the right mix of minerals that the Valari needed for their unique bodies. Captain Dalton stood on a grassy hill on the planet's surface, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of purple and gold. The air smelled sweet, like flowers and spice. Around her, thousands of Valari gathered in wide circles, their bodies glowing with synchronized patterns of light that danced across the twilight. "What are they doing?" she asked Elder Vereen, who stood beside her. "This is our memory dance," the elder explained. "We are writing your story, the story of our rescue, into our shared memory. The light patterns they create will be remembered by all Valari forever. The day humans answered our call will never be forgotten." Captain Dalton watched with quiet pride as members of her crew were invited to join the circles. Chief Engineer, Sam Miller, Dr. West, Lieutenant Murphy, Commander Wright, each was surrounded by Valari who touched them gently with special limbs. "In our culture," Elder Vereen said, "to know someone's emotional pattern is to carry a piece of them forever. Your people will be part of our shared memory for as long as the Valari exist." Fleet Admiral Gregory Barnes, who had arrived with the reinforcement ships 2 weeks ago, leaned toward Captain Dalton. "You know, when you changed course to answer an alien distress call without permission, I was ready to have you court-martialed," he said quietly. "Now Earth has made first contact with a space-traveling civilization that sees us as heroes. Earth Command is very happy." Dalton smiled. "Permission to speak freely, sir?" The Admiral nodded. "That's not why we did it," she said, simply. "I know," replied Barnes. "That's exactly why it worked." As the ceremony continued, Elder Vereen guided Captain Dalton to a small hill overlooking the gathering. "Our scientists have calculated that without your help, our entire species would have died," the elder said. 42,000 lives, our last survivors after our home world became unlivable. The final group of our civilization. "I'm just glad we were close enough to help," Dalton replied. The elder's body shifted to a color the captain had never seen before, a deep, peaceful green, with lines of silver. "We have studied your history since our rescue," Vereen said. "Your species has known great conflict, hasn't it? Wars, environmental disasters, times of great cruelty to your own kind." Captain Dalton nodded sadly. "Yes, we've made many mistakes along our journey. And yet," the elder continued, When you heard a cry for help from strangers across space, beings whose appearance, biology, and culture were completely unknown to you, your first thought was to come help us, at great risk to yourselves. The elder moved a gentle limb near but not touching the captain's face. This is what we find most remarkable about humans, not your technology, which is both more advanced than ours in some ways and more primitive in others. Not your physical form, which is so different from our own. But this quality, this readiness to offer kindness without expecting anything in return, this is rare in the universe. Below them, the ceremony had turned into what looked like a celebration. Valerie and humans were trying to learn each other's traditional dances, resulting in a chaotic but joyful scene. Elder Vereen, Captain Dalton asked, "What will your people do now?" "We will build our new home here," the elder replied. "This world will become our new beginning. And when we are established, we wish to form official relations with Earth. I'm sure Earth Command will be eager to establish diplomatic ties," Dalton began, but the elder interrupted with a gentle pulse of light. "No, Captain. You misunderstand. We do not merely seek diplomatic relations." The elder's body glowed brightly. "The Valari wish to propose an alliance, our scientists and yours working together, our thinkers and yours learning from each other, our strength joined with yours." "Why?" asked Dalton, genuinely curious. "Because the universe is vast and often dangerous," said the elder, "and we believe that species who answer distress calls from strangers are the ones who deserve to inherit the stars." 3 months later, the first permanent human embassy on the planet, now named Valara, was established. Lieutenant Kate Murphy, having formed a deep connection with the Valari culture, asked to stay as a cultural representative. The night before the Horizon was scheduled to leave, Captain Dalton stood on the balcony of the new embassy building, looking up at the stars. Commander Wright joined her. "Orders came through from Earth Command," he said. "We're being assigned to deep space exploration. The Valari have shared star maps of regions humans have never visited." Dalton nodded, still looking upward. "They've been traveling a long time. I bet they've seen a lot. They've also been telling stories about us," Wright added. "The Valari trading ships that have already left this system are spreading the word about how humans risked everything to save a doomed alien fleet." "Is that a problem?" Dalton asked, turning to her first officer. Wright smiled. "The opposite. According to intelligence, we've received 7 different first contact requests from previously unknown species in the past week alone. It seems the Valari story has gotten around." Captain Dalton laughed softly. "So we answered one call for help. And now the whole galaxy is calling," Wright finished. Above them, the night sky of Valara shimmered with stars, each one possibly holding new civilizations, new challenges, and new opportunities for humanity to show the quality that had so impressed Elder Vereen. The willingness to extend a helping hand across the darkness of space, asking nothing in return but the knowledge that somewhere, someone who had faced death would live to see another day. Captain Dalton thought about everything that had happened since they first heard that strange signal 3 months ago, the risk they had taken, the lives they had saved, the friendship between 2 very different species that had begun. "The universe can be a cold, dark place," she said quietly. "Stars die. Planets become uninhabitable. Entire species can face extinction from a single disaster." "Pretty grim outlook, Captain," Wright said. She shook her head. "No, because in all that darkness there's us. There's life. There's beings who can choose to be kind, to be brave, to cross the void to help strangers." She looked at the Valari city taking shape on the horizon, its bioluminescent buildings glowing softly in the night. "That's why we're out here." As she prepared to return to her ship, Captain Dalton took one last look at the alien city beginning to rise on the horizon. Proof of what could happen when different species chose connection over fear, compassion, over suspicion. "Ready to see what's out there, Commander?" she asked. Wright nodded. "Always, Captain." Together, they walked back toward the shuttle that would return them to the horizon, and to whatever calls for help might be waiting among the high stars. The end.